from one bear to another. Oh, wait, that isn't a bear. It just looks like one. Because of that distinctive appearance, these little fellers are recognized worldwide as symbols of Australia, which maybe aren't the best representation of a country when you learn a bit more about them. On today's episode of Endangered Inhabitants, we'll be slowly climbing into the world of Phascolarctos cinereus, the koala. To understand where koalas and their relatives fit in the mammalian family tree, we'll have to look back at a subclass of mammals known as the therians. These guys are separated from more basal mammals like the monotremes by the ability to give birth to live young without a shelled egg. Theria can be divided into two clades, the metatheria and the eutheria. These two groupings are separated mainly by how they go about the whole pregnancy thing. Metatherians, including koalas, lack the placentas that allow eutherians, more commonly known as placental mammals in case you didn't just hear me, to extend gestation and keep the fetus safe from the mother's immune system. The main extant grouping found within Metatheria is the infraclass Marsupialia, which contains all the living marsupials. This grouping first split off from other metatherians at least 65 million years ago during the Paleocene, with possible records pushing it back into the Cretaceous as early as 90 million years ago. This infraclass can then be divided into two superorders, the Ameridelphia, containing the opossums and shrew opossums, and the Australodelphia, which contains everything else. Koalas can be found in the order Diprotodontia. They can then be found in the suborder Vombatiformes, which features a menagerie of giant extinct marsupials, including the giant Diprotodon and the Thylacoleo, aka the marsupial lion. Their closest living relatives are the three species of wombat of the family Vombatidae. Koalas themselves are found in the family Phascolarctidae, and in the genus Phascolarctos, of which they are the sole living member. Modern koalas first appeared in the Middle Pleistocene around 700,000 years ago. Koalas can then be divided into three subspecies, the Queensland koala, the New South Wales koala, and the Victorian koala. These forms are distinguished by fur color and thickness, body size, and slight differences in skull shape. It should be noted that the status of these subspecies are disputed, as the geographical limits of these variations is based on state borders that emerged back in the ancient epoch of 1931, which, if you didn't know, koalas are older than, probably. Koalas are just a bunch of little guys. They have a body length of 60 to 85 centimeters or 24 to 33 inches and can weigh anywhere between 4 to 5 kilograms or 9 to 33 pounds. Koalas are highly sexually dimorphic, with males being 50% larger than the females on average. This girth makes koalas the largest extant arboreal marsupials. Koalas can live from 13 to 18 years in the wild on average. These robust little guys have a large head with a disproportionately small brain inside of them, being 60% smaller than those of a typical diprotodont when talking about the brain-to-body mass ratio. This brain is actually fairly smooth, meaning the koalas lack the thinky parts. It doesn't even fill the cranial cavity, the remaining space being filled with a cerebral fluid which may protect the brain should the koala fall out of the tree. To prevent that from happening, koalas have a robust skeleton with short upper body and relatively long limbs. Curved, sharp claws are well adapted for climbing. Their forepaws have two opposable digits that allow for good grippage. On the hindpaws, the second and third digits are fused, with attached claws functioning like a comb. Their thigh muscles are anchored further down the shin bone, increasing climbing power. They also have a vestigial or non-existent tail. These marsupial meatballs are covered in a thick coat of fur, also known as pelage. Koala back fur can range from light gray to chocolate brown, with a white belly that can reflect solar radiation. This fur is actually denser on the back, having the most insulating back fur of any marsupial, making them resilient to wind and rain. Koalas are native to Australia, and, if you couldn't gather from the common names of the subspecies, are found in the Australian states of Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and South Australia. They have been introduced to the Adelaide region further west on the mainland, and at least 12 islands, which implies that they lost track of how many islands they've introduced koalas on, but, first world problems. Koalas are found in both tropical and temperate habitats ranging from dense woodlands and forests to more spaced out forests. In more semi-arid climates, they prefer riparian habitats, interfaces between land and a river or stream, where those streams and creeks provide refuge during times of drought and extreme heat. Koalas are herbivorous folivores, with their diet consisting mostly of leaves of trees of the tribe Eucalyptae, also known as the eucalypts. Their most favored species are tallow wood, forest redgum, and river redgum, on average making up to 20% of their diet. Though commonly portrayed as picky eaters, they can eat other types of leaves. Something they are picky about is what the plants contain, preferring plant matter higher in protein than fiber and lignin. They rarely need to drink water, as the moisture they need comes from the leaves they eat, unless there's a drought. Koalas have an extremely specialized digestive system, as the leaves they eat have made it very clear they do not want to be eaten. These guys are hindgut fermenters, with digestive retention lasting up to 100 hours in the wild. This is made possible by the cecum, possibly the largest for an animal of their size, which can retain food particles for longer fermentation if needed. They can digest the toxic products and compounds the tree produces through the production of enzymes which neutralize these poisons in the liver. Koalas will take the leaf and bite it with their incisors to then clip with their premolars before chewing it into pieces with their cusp molars. They can also use cheek pouches to store food material before it is ready to be chewed. These chompers are built to chew through the tough plant material they prefer to munch on, but these teeth will eventually begin to wear down when they turn 6. These teeth will eventually disappear completely in old individuals, who will subsequently starve to death unless they die via other means. Koalas are mostly asocial, only spending an average of 15 minutes a day on social behaviors, just like some of you. It appears that koala society consists of residents and transients, residents mostly being females while transients mostly being males. Males can be residents, however, being territorial and dominant while staying in one place. In more extreme cases, large males may try to displace smaller rivals from trees by chasing, cornering, and biting them. Their low-energy diet limits their activity dramatically, with them sleeping an average of 20 hours a day. Koalas are most active at night, spending most of their waking hours foraging. They tend to eat and sleep in the same tree for as long as a day before moving to another. Depending on the temperature and the weather, koalas will stay in different parts of the tree and have different methods of maintaining homeostasis. On warm days, koalas will rest with their backs against branches or lie down with their limbs dangling. They will curl up whenever it gets cold and wet. Koalas mainly depend on their sense of smell and hearing to navigate their environments, having relatively poor eyesight with vertical pupil slits, an adaptation for living in a more vertical plane. When a male climbs up a new tree, they will scent mark it using chest glands that secrete chemical mixtures. Koalas can also make several noises to communicate, like the loud bellows that males make that sound straight out of Warhammer. They can also make snarls, wails, and screams, as you heard before. As previously mentioned, koala brains are rather primitive. This is likely an adaptation to the energy restrictions its diet imposes, not being able to sustain a larger brain. This can also limit the koala's ability to perform complex behaviors as they normally wouldn't need to. For example, if you put eucalyptus leaves, their main source of food, on a flat surface like a plate, the koala wouldn't know what to do with them as it is different from their normal feeding routine. Once the nasty has been completed, gestation lasts 33 to 35 days. As marsupials don't have the protective placentas that eutherians do, newborn joeys have to get the hell out of there and are born tiny and barely formed. Only their lips, forelimbs, and shoulders are relatively advanced, as they need to climb up from the vaginas, yes, marsupials have between 2 to 3 vaginas, but I ain't going over that right now, to the pouch for continual development. Once in the pouch, the joey will latch on to one of the female's two nipples and suckle. It takes about 26 weeks for the fully furred joey to resemble an adult and look outside the pouch. At around 6 to 7 months, the joey fully emerges from the pouch for the first time. Around this time, the mother prepares the joey for a eucalyptus diet by producing fecal pap. Oh god. Ugh. That the joey eats from her cloaca, giving it the special bacteria it needs to digest the plants it is going to eat. Joeys will start riding on the mother's back at 9 months of age as they become more independent, severing the bond and becoming completely independent by 1.5 to 2 years of age. Koalas have only a few predators. Only large pythons like the carpet python and dingoes can threaten adults. As with all animals, the young are at a much greater risk of predation. This can come from birds of prey like wedge-tailed eagles and superb owls, as well as large goannas like the parenti. Koalas are listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. It was thought that there were anywhere between 100,000 and 500,000 mature individuals with a decreasing population trend, but a 2021 estimate placed the population at just 92,000 individuals after the bushfire season of 2019 to 2020. The biggest threat that koalas face is habitat loss and fragmentation. Near the coast, the main cause is urbanization, while in rural areas, habitat is cleared for agriculture. It should be mentioned that koalas can survive in more urbanized settings if enough trees are present, but this can create its own problems. Collisions with cars and attacks from domesticated dogs are thought to kill around 4,000 koalas a year. These animals are also vulnerable to bushfires due to their slow speed and the flammability of eucalypt trees. These fires are exacerbated by the climate crisis, as climate models predict warmer and drier climates, suggesting that the koala's range will shrink in the east and south to more mesic habitats with a balanced supply of moisture throughout the growing season. Koalas can be subject to many dangerous pathogens, the most famous of which is the bacterial infection of chlamydia, which can cause blindness, infertility, and eventually death. A vaccine for this disease is in development, though. Koalas are also threatened by koala retrovirus, (KORV), which can lead to koala immune deficiency syndrome, or KIDS. Basically, koala AIDS! KORV is slowly spreading from north to south, with 100% of wild koalas from Queensland and New South Wales having it, while between 15 to 70% in Victoria have it as well. It is debated if vaccination is even possible for these viruses. I would like to thank each and every one of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more garbage like this in the future. I'm trying to get more into a rhythm of making as many videos as possible, but I procrastinate so bad, so that can be hard. Everyone have a great day. Peace!